we have different sorts of members, of course. So the 1,500 houses, but then we have visitor members. We have a membership scheme for members of the public who join historic houses in order to get a card that gets them in to visit about 300 of our houses. So you join historic houses, you get a membership card like this, and it gets you in to visit about 300 houses. And we have, I think, nearly 70,000 visitor members, individual people who are members of historic houses. So they're supporting the work of the association. Myself, I joined historic houses nearly 7 years ago now, and I was previously working for the National Trust in England. So I did work in heritage, but this was my first experience, I think, of privately owned heritage, completely privately owned heritage. And it's been an amazing journey for me personally. The association was founded nearly 50 years ago. We have our 50th anniversary at the end of next year. We were founded in November 1973, and we were really, I suppose, the reason we were founded was because, and I think this might have been true in other European countries as well, but in 50 years ago, there was lots of worry and concern about the future of the country house. Many country houses had a very difficult time in the years during the war and immediately after the war, and there were problems to do with maintenance, funding of renovation, and there was a big concern in England that too many houses were being lost, demolished, sold off, converted into other sorts of buildings, not being used as houses anymore, not being cared for or looked after. And we were founded to be an association of owners so that owners could help to learn from each other and could be supported in the work that they did. I think also importantly, this was very much about politics. The politics of the country house in England at the time being in the early 1970s, the issue of taxation was very high on the agenda. There was a socialist government looking to introduce new forms of taxes on wealth, on landed property. And very early on, the association was engaged in a big political battle with the left-wing government of the day, which I think probably it's fair to say they had some success, because the threatened tax on capital wealth was postponed. It never happened, and an arrangement was made with the government whereby you could effectively offset your tax bill provided you opened your doors to the public. And about 300 houses have done exactly that. They open up to the public, and it helps to ensure that they're not subject to excessive tax. And this has worked quite well. So I think we were founded in a moment of crisis and difficulty, and I hope that we've shown in 50 years that houses have been able to demonstrate success, and they've come back, and they're now in a pretty good condition. Very varied, but it's a mixture of, I suppose the main things would be, firstly, it's that political side of things. So a lot of the time I spend writing to politicians, to ministers, asking for meetings, sending letters, responding to government policy. A lot of that comes to me, but I'm supported by two people in the office who are very, very much experts in this area as well. So that is a big part of my job. A second thing would be providing advice and services to house owners. For example, I'm talking to you from a house outside central London. I'm at a conference today. We've organised a meeting of house owners and members of staff as well, particularly to talk about education and community outreach and access and learning, which we are very keen on because these are things that many houses do really amazing work. And what we've done today is organise a full day of speakers coming to talk to the room. We've got about 40 people here today coming to share their experiences of ways in which they've used their historic property to help to educate young children, primary school age children, secondary school age children, higher education adults as well, community learning, for example, this is a house called Bell House. It's in southeast London, or just on the outskirts of central London. And they have it's run by a charity. They particularly want to help families with whose family members have problems reading and writing. They have dyslexia. They have a medical condition, and they've devoted the house to charitable purposes. Reaching out, but it's not just that, it's also volunteers working in the garden. It's all sorts of things to do with health and mental health and the arts. It's a really wonderful place, and we're learning a lot today. But that's just one example of the sort of seminar or workshop or activity that we provide for our members. We have more next month. We have an online series about conservation of household objects. We have a conference early next year about renewable energy. So we make many different topics because all of them are relevant to the complicated business of running a historic house. And we see a big part of our job is providing advice and guidance to owners. And I suppose a third part of my job, and which is day to day, is simply running the association as a business. We are a business. We're not a charity. All of our money we make for ourselves. We do it through our membership scheme for the public. We have a lovely website. So my team are constantly improving the website. We just this week we've had a new look to our website. So we're thinking of new ways of reaching out, finding new audiences, helping to spread the word about who we are at Historic Houses, because we're perhaps not as well known as other heritage organisations, but we think we've got a lot to offer. And the website, we have a lovely magazine that comes out 4 times a year. So we're writing articles for the magazine, we're writing things for the website, we're using social media, and we're promoting Historic Houses in a more general sense. So I suppose they're the 3 big areas that I spend my time on. Good question. And I think we have had in the last, I'm maybe too modest to say, but in the last 7 years, we've had increasing numbers of people joining Historic Houses, and it's nothing to do with me, but it is to do with the team. Who we've got a very effective marketing team, and they spend a lot of time on social media. And I think we invested in our brand. We did a whole big brand refresh 3 or 4 years ago now, but that was a new look, a new logo, a new identity for the organization. And we have invested in people and systems. So we've got somebody in the office dedicated to social media. All of his life he's spending on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. These are the ways of reaching audiences. And these is what you have to do if you're a modern organization. So we are learning these lessons, but we're trying to do that and reach out to new audiences. most of our activity now, almost all of it now, is all completely online. So we have a pause booking system, for example. We now have the facility for any house owner to organise their own tour of their property. They can load the information onto our website. They can sell tickets. It makes them money. It makes us a little bit of money. But the more important thing is it's getting visitors to come to their places, learn new things about their houses, and this is all through digital. So I think the key to growing our business has been digital, really, but then also not losing sight of the fact that we're a political representation body as well. We have to constantly be demonstrating to our house members, the house owners, that we are good value for money, that we are having a difference, making an impact on government. And I think we are. I think we are. It's a tricky time in British politics at the moment, but it's we have a hard job to do. But it's I think we are, and again we can show in the last few years some real impacts. For example, during the pandemic, when we were trying to persuade government to support historic houses at a time when everyone needed support, but we made the case, and indeed the government gave about £70 million to our members to support their work, and that probably wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for us at Historic Houses making the case. So I think proving that we're making a difference also helps to sort of ensure ongoing support. Yes, we have a big seminar, big conference in London about energy, and energy is the big topic of the day because the price of energy has gone up so much and is a real problem everywhere in Europe, I know. But the cost of heating and lighting your house is just so difficult today. And so we have a conference about how you can integrate energy efficiency and renewable energy into your historic property. And I think this is a really important issue today. That's a big thing, and that's also a big part of our political representation, because we want to make it easier for houses to become better insulated, better heated, and we are making the best case we can to government that we think the planning regulations need to be amended a little bit to encourage properties to be truly environmentally sustainable. So I think sustainability is really the big focus for the years ahead. Everyone has to stop using fossil fuels, become more self-sufficient, adopt more renewable energy. This is important, not just from a business point of view, but obviously it's important for the well-being of the whole planet. So this has to be our big priority. I think we are going through a rocky time politically in Britain at the moment. There is the possibility of a new government in the years ahead, and I think this will be an important part of what we do. The 50th anniversary, I think, is a big opportunity for us to remind or tell people about what we do, who we are, because as I say, we're just not as popular or as well known, should I say, as say organizations a bit like the National Trust or English Heritage. These are fantastic heritage charities which have millions of followers and supporters, and we have nearly 70,000. So it's a small percentage, a small fraction of the support that they've got, but mainly because we're just not as well known. Most people don't realise that the majority of heritage in this country, anyway, is looked after by private owners. 2/3 of the heritage is completely privately owned. Private owners look after it, they fund it, they restore properties, they keep them alive, they keep them lived in, and that work is just going on, and people don't realise. They think heritage is only done by charities. And so I think we have a big job to do to promote historic houses in a more public sense, become better known, and we think the 50th anniversary might be a way of doing that. At least it might be that people come across our name, they're interested enough to come to our website, they can find out all the places they can visit, the places they can stay in, all sorts of ways in which you can get to learn a bit about this wonderful slice of heritage, and hopefully understand a bit more who we are, and at some point choose to support us. So that's our goal, but I think for not just the year ahead, for the next few years ahead.